Hi everyone. Today I just wanted to talk to you about something that's been coming clear to my mind, and maybe you as well, about the idea of how our consciousness affects things. So when, say for example, in quantum physics, they've discovered in the double slit theory, if you've ever studied quantum theory, that when there is something, an observer of the experiment, the observer affects the outcome of the particles and how they behave. And so when we have our fixation on things, we help to kind of create the outcome and the action of those particles. So I have two questions for you. Is it better to focus on disharmony through the media and all the things that are being fed to you, or is it better to focus on what harmonizes with you the most? Because the Great Harmonization is already happening, and it's already here, and the media wants you to think otherwise because it's like they're clinging to this little last breadcrumb that they're holding on to of control. My second question is, how can one, and I just want you to think about this, how do we rise above the bullshit without feeling like we're spiritual bypassing? Because I think a lot of people feel that if they just focus on what's good and positive and all these things, that they're ignoring the problem. So we'll answer that in a minute, but I just want you to kind of feel into that and how that sits with you. And again, just to say that the light has already won. And so the energies that want to control and manipulate and keep you in disharmony are just kind of really this last ditch effort, trying to make this big loud broadcast and control regulations and things like that affect your lives to kind of put you back in that place of disharmony. But the pendulum's already swung the other way. We all already want harmony. We don't want war. We don't want separation. We don't want to deal with all this stuff. So we're kind of just holding each other through this journey through the bullshit, and while we're getting mud kind of slung in our faces. So those people who are still in that state of disharmony, when they're having that inner power struggle of losing control, then they're going to start to project onto you. They're going to blame you. They're going to get louder. They're going to get more obnoxious. And so the people that are in control of the microphones right now mostly are the big, loud baby birds that are kind of crying for that control and power. But only, there's probably only 5% of those people in the world that are controlling, 90% of the media or 95% of the media that's out there. So especially because they have the bigger, broader broadcast control. So they're kind of controlling the story and the narrative. But, when we turn on our inner harmony, then we can actually affect things more powerfully. And we already have affected those things in a way that you don't even have to speak. You can be silent in meditation. You can be silent in maintaining your inner harmony, and your broadcast is way overshadowing all of those negative narratives that are going on around you. You can kind of come in and affect and change the whole room. But you can also kind of light other people up around you just by holding that inner harmony within quietly. And so, it's just something that we have to remember, that, when you have control over your inner space, when you have control of your inner thoughts and energy and emotions, then people can't have control over you. It's when they trigger your emotions, they trigger your anger, they trigger your fear. They trigger your upset in a way that they start pulling on these energetic strings with you like a marionette, controlling your emotions down this roller coaster. And so, it's really up to us. It's our duty to not get caught up in the disharmony, to not get up in the protagonist-antagonist drama that's being played in front of us, and just maintain your inner sovereignty of a place of harmony that you choose to have control and power over, and not let someone affect you in a negative way. So they don't really know how to respond to that, except to get bigger and louder and more obnoxious, and do things, like a narcissist would do to kind of hook you back in, to bait you back in by throwing out insults or saying things that are going to really upset you and really trigger you in some way. And so you have to understand that this is like it's a hook, so don't get hooked into that line that they're throwing out there. So for example, like if you ever had a child, when a child is crying, right before the child is about to give up and go to sleep, they get louder and more obnoxious, and they sound like they're dying and they're choking, and you think, I'm a horrible, awful person and parent for letting them cry. But then eventually they just kind of wear themselves out and they fall asleep. It's called self-soothing, because you're not giving attention to the screaming and the yelling and letting them control you and pull you back in when they just really need to rest and have a moment of silence to themselves, to really just kind of work through that moment of fear. But also, again, next time they won't be so fearful because they realize that it's okay and you're still going to be there to support them afterwards, So, and you only have to do it like 1 or 2 times, and then they get it, they get that you're going to be there. And so it doesn't have to happen all the time. So again, like, how do we, when there's all of this kind of negative stuff going on in the world, and it's been going on for years, it's been going on since our whole lives and other lifetimes, because now that it's, it's being seen collectively, all of it's coming to the surface thanks to the internet, because all of these things have happened in the past, and but now we're just kind of seeing it all together. We're seeing it collectively. We're processing it together, So, the one question that I had with this was like, how do I, because I kind of felt a little guilty. I was having that guiltitude again, that word come up of like, oh, I'm in this harmonious place and I'm enjoying my life and all these horrible things are going on, but I feel guilty about that. But then I was like, how do I maintain this inner peace without feeling guilty or feeling like I'm ignoring the things that are going on in the world, which I'm not. I'm processing those emotions, I'm feeling those things, but I'm also having control over my inner space and, just being the observer of these things rather than really getting caught into it. And so this channeling came through that I really wanted to share with you, because it really helped me to kind of maintain my inner space, maintain my sovereignty, my inner power, and my inner harmony, but also feel that I was making some sort of effective, powerful change in the world at the same time. So I hope you enjoy this channeling. So please just kind of find some place to kind of sit quietly and just close your eyes and just really listen and receive what the Shastra Collective have to say about this. Thank you so much, and many blessings. Focus on what harmonizes with you the most. What brings you the feeling of inner harmony? Because when you can learn to operate from a place of harmony rather than fear, anger, frustration, and disappointment and hopelessness, then you can have your power back. When you allow them to control your emotions, when you allow them to have strings that they can pull, then they can have control over you. So sure, feel those feelings, but use them as impetus to move towards an even greater place of inner harmony and strength. Because your determination to create a better world is so strong. Because your determination and your drive to create more harmony in this world is what drives you and pulls you forward. Not trying to fix or resolve or manage all the negative narratives and landscapes that are being thrown at you and the psychological hits. See them as they are. Allow yourself to step outside those emotions and just witness them and see that they are there. Own them. Honor them. Thank them for driving you forward to a greater harmony. All of this that is happening is moving you towards the great harmonization of global unity and oneness, as you may know by now from your own personal wounds, trials, and tribulations in life. There sometimes has to be a breakdown, breakthrough moment. And this is your breakdown, breakthrough moment that the earth and that your country is going through right now. The wounds have to be exposed in order to be healed. There is a great awakening happening here. And so when you focus on the greater harmony that's being created,
the greater awakening that's being created, then that can be what motivates you to get up out of bed in the morning with joyful marching forward towards greater harmony, to continue to move forward towards the light. Because realizing that there are more of you that want harmony than people that are not, then you start to realize they're small narratives just because they have a wider broadcasting net and can affect more people. But when you realize there's more people than broadcasters of these negative narratives, then you can flip it around. It doesn't take very many of you at all to flip the switch. You just have to be consciously, actively focusing towards your highest harmonious moment, your highest harmonious attachment, connecting to those feelings, those motivating factors that you know what you are working for every day, which is the Great Harmonization. And so every step you take forward is a step towards that. And know that you have other brothers and sisters out there that are doing the same thing. And when you collaborate together, when you recognize each other, you create a movement, not just in the ideal sense, but in the physical, emotional, energetic sense. You create the movement of energy you need in order to tip the scales. This pendulum swings the other way because you can move the energy. You can affect anything around you when you collectively are focused towards the same vision. And so the more that we can visualize the same vision together of the great harmonization of global unity and oneness, is to know that all of these things that are being exposed and shown are necessary to heal and move forward towards the great harmonization, towards the realization, the actualization, and the actuation of the great harmonization of global unity and oneness. Then you can start to tip the scales. Then things will change. Then things will become reality. Then you will realize that you are creator beings and that you've been creating this whole story and this narrative, this experience all along together based on your beliefs, based on your energy, based on your emotions. So when you can flip it, put out different energies, and you can also create this new world together. But in a way that feels good instead of one that feels a world that is frustrating and consists of struggle, fear, anger, and war, and all these things that you have believed in so far. So when you believe in something new together and you visualize and envision a future, a different future together, it will be realized and it will be actualized and actuated. There will be no coming back from this in a good way, because once all of this has been seen and exposed and we've gone through all the layers and levels of how bad it can be, there's no going back to that way. Now, there have been many things said about World War I and World War II was a war to end all wars, because people thought, how could we ever want to experience something like that ever again? However, in this day and age, there is a technology called the internet, and all of these things are being seen where everybody is seeing everything all together collectively. And we've all been through this before. But now that we're all seeing it together, we're all processing it together, processing the emotions. We're going through all the emotional waves together, and we're healing together. And so once we all have this big final breakthrough moment, there's going to be no turning back towards this type of lifestyle ever again, because it's an awakening. It's an evolution of consciousness. It's a real evolution rather than just a choice saying, oh, we don't want to go back there again. This is actually an evolutionary step forward collectively. And so moving forward into the future, there's just going to be the collective going forward. There will be no going backwards to this way again. So this is why this is necessary to go through these waves, but also to rise above it in a way that is not spiritually bypassing it, but in a way that realizes how powerful you are, that you can step forward towards harmony and make a difference, that you don't have to focus on the negative narrative, that you don't have to get caught in the fight. You can take action. Yes, you can set boundaries. Yes, you can stand up for what you believe in, but do it from a place of harmony. Do it from a place of joyful anticipation, knowing that you are creating something new in the great harmonization, And you are saying no to the old way. You're saying yes to the new way because this is how it's going to be. This is how you envision it to be, and this is how you feel and you're creating with your inner harmony together, collectively and individually. So share this with as many people as possible so that you can come together collectively to quicken the awakening of the great harmonization of global unity and oneness. And this starts with the divine order of self, the divine order within you. So what negative emotions you're having today, fear, anger, upset, just witness it, feel it, process it. Thank those feelings for driving you forward towards harmony because it's repelling you away from the old way. It's propelling you towards greater harmony. So focus on where it is propelling you towards and focus on that path of moving forward, not feeling like you're being dragged kicking and screaming into the old way. If you have control over your energy, you have control over your feelings, you have control over the energy that you put out into the world and how you respond. And we're not saying don't feel the awfulness. It's necessary to process all of that and feel it, but don't let it linger. Don't let it have power over you. Don't let it be tethers that tie you, that make you feel hopeless. Let it be an impetus, again, to move you forward towards harmony, to move towards something greater, and know that you collectively are more powerful than the small few who have a wide cast net over the news and broadcasting and things that you're hearing, seeing daily in the media. There's more of you than the broadcasters. So be bigger, broader broadcasters because there's more of you. And collectively, together, we will, and we say this confidently, we will bring about the great harmonization of global unity and oneness together.